Remember to give the video a thumbs up, share your reflections in the comments, and subscribe to keep up with our latest tales. At 62, I never envisioned that I would encounter a situation like this. Life, after all, was meant to unfold in a way we could foresee. Each morning, I find myself nurturing my garden, afternoons drift by in serene reading, and evenings are shared with my husband, Mark, as we weave together the tapestry of our memories from the years gone by. Yet, on a fateful evening, a private conversation unfolded, transforming everything and leaving me to ponder the very foundations of my understanding. Once upon a time, a grand corporate gala unfolded, hosted by none other than Mark's company. For more than 30 years, he toiled in that place, ascending the hierarchy with steadfast commitment. His boss, Richard Caldwell, exuded a subtle yet commanding presence, a figure with whom I had only shared courteous exchanges at past gatherings. In his mid-60s, he stood tall and distinguished, exuding a quiet confidence that appeared utterly effortless. The gala unfolded within the opulent confines of a prestigious hotel nestled in downtown Chicago, where grand chandeliers illuminated the scene with a warm, inviting glow, enveloping the elegantly attired guests in an atmosphere of refined celebration. The atmosphere buzzed with lively chatter, the gentle clinking of glasses, and the soothing strains of a jazz band serenading from the corner. These events didn't quite capture my interest. Home was where my heart found its solace. Yet, Mark was persistent, and so I found myself donning a simple navy blue dress, ready to join him on this journey. At first glance, all appeared to be just as it should be, unremarkable and commonplace. Mark found himself engrossed in lively discussions with his colleagues, while I busied myself engaging in conversation with the other spouses. That was the moment Richard stepped into my world. Evelyn, might I steal a moment of your time? He inquired, his resonant voice cutting through the clamor of the room. In that moment, I paused, caught in the web of uncertainty. A fleeting instant. What could Mark's boss possibly desire from me? With a polite smile and a nod, I followed him down a side corridor, leaving the grandeur of the main ballroom behind. The atmosphere grew still, the echoes of the gala retreating into the distance behind us. He led me into a secluded lounge, a snug haven adorned with soft lighting, a crackling fireplace, and inviting leather armchairs. The atmosphere crackled with an unspoken tension, palpable yet elusive. My heart quickened ever so slightly as I settled into the seat opposite him. I trust I'm not interrupting something significant, he remarked, a slight, almost anxious smile gracing his lips. Not at all, I assured him, though the curiosity bubbling inside me was hard to ignore. What tales are swirling in your thoughts? He let out a soft sigh, his hands moving together in a rhythmic dance, as if he were on a quest for the perfect words to weave into his tale. At last, he found his voice. Once upon a time, there was a character named Mark. At that, I sat up straight in my chair, a knot forming in my stomach. Is there a tale of trouble brewing? He paused, caught in a moment of uncertainty. Not quite, however. There is a tale I believe you ought to hear. The gravity of his words hung in the air, palpable even before they escaped his lips. His expression held a weight that stirred something within me, a silent fervor that sent my heart racing. Evelyn, he carried on, his voice soft yet resolute. My acquaintance with Mark stretches back many years. I have witnessed his journey as he crafts his career, uplifts his colleagues, and nurtures his family amidst the unfolding events. A realization has dawned upon me. I took a deep breath. What could it be? He leaned in just a bit, his eyes fixed intently on mine. He does not. He should truly value you. The words settled deep within me, a weighty presence that stirred my very core. My breath hitched, and a sudden surge of protectiveness welled up inside me. I don't understand, I stammered. Mark is a devoted partner. He has always been. Richard gave a thoughtful nod. I'm aware of his existence. But share with me, Evelyn, when was the last moment he truly beheld you? Not merely as his partner, but as the extraordinary woman you are. I parted my lips, ready to speak. Yet silence enveloped me. He pressed on, his voice now a gentle whisper. I've observed the way your gaze lingers on him, even when he's wrapped up in his own world, oblivious to your presence. I've seen you linger in the shadows at gatherings like these, as he immerses himself in labor. You offer so much, yet does he reciprocate? A knot tightened in my throat. I felt a surge of defiance, a burning desire to voice my dissent, to declare his error. Yet, the quiet hesitation stirred within me, casting doubt on my resolve. I don't intend to intrude, Richard spoke, reclining a bit as he did so. Yet, there are moments when an outsider perceives what those within the circle fail to notice. I let out a slow breath, my thoughts swirling like a tempest. Richard examined my face, then bestowed upon me a subtle, understanding smile. Evelyn, you are worthy of recognition. The words resonated deeply, awakening a part of me I never knew was there. For the first time in what felt like ages, uncertainty washed over me, leaving me adrift in a sea of emotions. I remained there, utterly still. Richard's words resonated within me, awakening a feeling I wasn't prepared to face. Every soul has a story that yearns to be unveiled. Had I truly slipped beneath the radar for such an extended stretch of time? I sought to dismiss his words as nothing more than a casual remark, a sincere yet misguided gesture of goodwill. Yet, beneath the surface, a part of me recognized the truth in his words. Mark was a man of integrity, a diligent provider who toiled tirelessly for those he cared about. He had always been a constant presence, dependable and unwavering. Yet, in those hushed instances, the ones that held significance, when had he last genuinely gazed upon me? When had he last seen the little ways I endeavored to fill our life with warmth and abundance? The way I meticulously folded his shirts, precisely how he preferred them, how I ensured our home was always brimming with his cherished belongings. The manner in which I had remained steadfast beside him during each career triumph and return. I cleared my throat, forcing back the lump that had taken residence within me. Richard, He raised a hand, pausing my words. I have no intention of causing you any discomfort, Evelyn. Yet, I found myself unable to remain silent and do nothing. I exhaled gently. Your candor is truly valued. I spoke at last, my voice gentler than I had meant it to be. Yet, Mark and I have shared our journey for decades. Marriage encompasses a depth that transcends mere visibility. It revolves around dedication and steadfastness. Richard gave a thoughtful nod. I understand and hold that in high regard. He leaned in just a bit, his eyes fixed and steady. Have you ever paused to ponder what it is that you genuinely desire? The question hung in the air, a silent echo between us. What I desired, for countless years. I poured my energy into understanding Mark's needs, fulfilling the demands of our marriage, and meeting the expectations placed upon me. I had never genuinely paused to reflect on my desires. A soft, anxious chuckle escaped my lips. Richard, this is quite the tale to be spinning at an elegant gathering of professionals. That brought a smile to his face. I guess it is. Yet, a whisper within urged me to voice it. A pause lingered in the air, enveloped by the gentle crackling of the fireplace. With a heavy sigh, he rose to his feet. I suppose it's time for you to return to your own journey. I stood there, my hands trembling slightly as I smoothed my dress, the fabric whispering secrets of anticipation. Indeed, Mark will ponder my whereabouts. Richard nodded, yet his expression held an enigmatic quality that left much to the imagination. Evelyn has just made me a promise, one that holds great significance. I tilted my head. What is that? Please take my words seriously. considerate. With a moment of uncertainty, I finally gave a slow nod. Very well. With a gentle smile, he stepped aside, gracefully inviting me toward the door. As I strolled by, I sensed the comforting warmth of his presence alongside me. The heaviness of the dialogue lingers, a weight upon my heart. The gala was alive with energy when I made my entrance once more. Mark remained precisely in the spot I had last seen him, engrossed in a lively discussion with his colleagues. At first, he was oblivious to my presence. From afar, I paused for a moment, observing him intently. His visage was, with lively gestures, his hands danced through the air as he spoke. There was a part of him that had always captivated me, his fervor, his relentless spirit. Yet, a thought crossed my mind about what Richard had spoken. Had Mark ever gazed upon me with such intensity? As his gaze drifted in my direction, he caught sight of me standing there. A subtle nod was all he offered before he returned to the ebb and flow of his conversation. A transformation stirred within me. Richard had sown a seed, and regardless of my efforts to disregard it, I was aware it was already starting to flourish. The journey back was filled with silence. Mark sat beside me, his hands firmly gripping the wheel, his gaze locked onto the shadowy path that stretched before us. The city lights danced in a fleeting haze, yet my thoughts wandered far beyond their glow. Richard's words reverberated in my mind, his voice clinging to me in an unforgettable way. Let your presence be recognized. I cast a fleeting look at Mark. He appeared weary, a subtle line of tension etched between his brows. For nearly 40 years, we shared our lives, and throughout that journey, I came to know every nuance of his face by heart. The defined contours of his jaw, the delightful crinkle of his eyes when laughter danced across his face, the firm press of his lips as he focused intently. But when had he truly gazed upon me? With the deliberate clearing of his throat, he shattered the stillness that enveloped the room. Did you enjoy yourself this evening? The inquiry took me by surprise. It was a question he posed after each event, every gathering, and all dinner parties, almost as if it were a duty rather than a true interest. With a moment's pause, I gathered my thoughts before responding. It was quite captivating. He nodded, lost in thought. Excellent, excellent. And just like that, the tale drew to a close. As I shifted my gaze back to the window, I observed the city gradually fade into the distance, giving way to the serene embrace of the quiet suburbs. Upon our return home, Mark fell into his familiar routine. He removed his jacket, placed his keys on the counter, and made his way to his office for a final glance at his emails. I lingered in the kitchen, my gaze fixed on the vacant spot where he had just stood, the air thick with the echoes of his presence. My feelings toward him were not of anger. Not quite. Mark had always been this way, devoted to his craft, unwavering in his habits. He had bestowed upon me a life filled with comfort and security. Yet, Richard's words had stirred something within me, something I could no longer suppress. As I strolled into the bedroom, my gaze fell upon my reflection in the mirror. At the age of 60 my once auburn hair now bore the graceful streaks of silver, delicate lines etched upon my face, whispers of the years I have journeyed through. Yet, my gaze remained unchanged. And in them, I glimpsed a spark I hadn't recognized in ages. In the quiet corners of existence, where shadows linger and echoes of silence resonate, there lies a profound sense of solitude. I had always thought this was merely a facet of growing older, this subtle retreat into the shadows, this slow descent into the mundane. But now, for the first time, I found myself pondering. Was it? As dawn broke, Mark stepped out for work, planting a gentle kiss on my cheek, his words lingering in the air. I'll be home late. Significant gathering with a major client is on the horizon. I nodded, a faint smile gracing my lips. Take care and stay safe. And then he vanished into the ether. For a long moment, I lingered in the doorway, contemplating before finally stepping back inside. Typically, My days would be woven with errands, housework, attending to the garden. Yet, on this day, a sense of restlessness stirred within me. Before I could weave a tale of hesitation, I reached for my phone and dialed a number I never imagined I would. Richard picked up on the second ring. Evelyn. His voice held a whisper of astonishment. I inhaled deeply, savoring the moment. Would you care to share a moment over a cup of coffee? A moment of silence lingered in the air, and then, gently, naturally as the clock ticked away, I soon found myself seated opposite him in a serene cafe by the lakeside. The aroma of roasted coffee beans and fresh pastries wafted through the air, while outside, as autumn approached, the leaves twirled gracefully in the gentle breeze. Richard regarded me with a gentle, inquisitive gaze. There was a lingering uncertainty about whether your voice would reach me again. As I stirred my coffee, I observed the mesmerizing dance of cream swirling into the rich, dark liquid. I found myself uncertain about whether to make the call. He nodded, anticipation hanging in the air. I let out a slow breath. I've been reflecting on your words. His expression was a mystery, cloaked in shadows. And I paused, then locked eyes with him. You were correct. There was a spark in his eyes, an elusive quality that I couldn't quite put my finger on. Evelyn. I'm not claiming to regret my life, I interjected softly. Mark and I have crafted a bond that is resilient, a connection that is genuine. Yet, in the midst of life's journey, it seems I lost the ability to yearn for something that belongs to me alone. Richard leaned in just a bit. What comes next? I gulped with difficulty. At this moment, I'm uncertain. A hush enveloped us, punctuated solely by the faint murmur of voices drifting from afar. At last, Richard found his voice, soft and measured. My deepest desires for your happiness. I gazed upon him. Truly gazed upon him. There was a man who, by all accounts, should have remained a stranger in my life. Yet he chose to speak words that resonated deeply within me. It was as if he had glimpsed a part of my soul that I had yet to discover myself. And in that moment, it dawned on me that I possessed a decision awaits. I found myself seated, gazing at Richard from across the quaint little table in the cafe, my fingers embracing the comforting warmth of my coffee cup. My deepest desires for your happiness. His words lingered in the atmosphere, weighty yet soft, reminiscent of a truth I'd been sidestepping for far too long. For years, I spun a tale in my mind, convincing myself that contentment was the ultimate prize, that security, stability, and loyalty formed the sturdy foundation of a fulfilling life. Indeed, they were. Yet, Richard had revealed a hidden facet within me, something I had yet to discover. It was known that something was amiss, a longing to experience. I inhaled deeply, feeling the heaviness of my thoughts bearing down upon me. Richard, I find myself at a loss with all of this. His gaze became gentle. There's no obligation for you, Evelyn. Consider what brings you joy. When was the last time you embarked on a journey solely for your own delight? I began to speak, but the words caught in my throat. When did it last happen? For years, I dedicated myself to ensuring that Mark was upheld, that his ambitions, his aspirations, and his universe stayed whole. In the tapestry of my existence, I wove a narrative rich with structure and familiarity. But what of my tale? As I lifted my cup, the deep, robust flavor of the coffee enveloped me, its comforting heat anchoring my thoughts for just a fleeting moment. Outside of my marriage, I find myself lost. Unsure of my identity, I confessed, the words catching even me off guard. Richard offered me a subtle, understanding smile. Perhaps it's time to uncover the truth. A soft, shaky laugh escaped my lips. What a chilling prospect that is. Perhaps, yet, it carries a thrill. Wouldn't you agree? I remained silent. I was unable to, for within me, I understood he spoke the truth. We lingered in quietude for a time. The world beyond continued its dance, just as it always had. Vehicles glide by, laughter dances through the air, and a gentle breeze stirs the golden leaves of autumn. Life moved forward, never allowing a moment for contemplation. Yet, perhaps, for the very first time, I found it necessary to do so. At last, I placed my cup aside and locked eyes with him. The future remains a mystery. Richard, however, I realize it's time for me to embrace life once more. A smile danced at the corner of his lips. That's the essence I wished for you to grasp. As the night unfolded, Mark stepped through the door, and there I was, already posed at the kitchen table, anticipation hanging in the air. He scarcely glanced my way as he placed his briefcase down and loosened his tie. A long day, he murmured. I'm utterly spent. I observed him for a fleeting moment. This man with whom I had woven a life. This man I had cherished for countless years. And yet, as he wandered through the house, an invisible divide stretched between us. A gap I had failed to see widening over the years. I inhaled deeply. Mark, may we have a moment to converse? He took a moment, finally turning his gaze toward me. What is it about? I took a deep breath. What can you tell me about yourselves? His brows knitted together in a subtle display of concern. What shall we weave together? With a moment of pause, I finally spoke the words that had been simmering within me since the last. Once the sun dipped below the horizon, the world transformed into a canvas of shadows and whispers. Where the night unfolded its mysteries. It seems as though I am lost in the shadows. Mark, he paused, his eyes fluttering momentarily. What is this? It seems I've devoted countless years to being the partner who stands by your side, ensuring that everything flows smoothly and maintaining the balance in our lives, and I truly cherish you. Yet, at some point in this journey, I faded from view. His brow furrowed, a look of surprise washing over his face. Evelyn, from where does this arise? I gently shook my head, a subtle gesture that spoke volumes. It has lingered in the shadows for ages. I simply never allowed myself to voice it aloud. He settled into the chair opposite me, his hand gliding over his face as if to smooth away the weight of the world. I had no idea you held these feelings. I observed him intently. Have you ever pondered? He remained quiet, a stillness enveloping him. In that fleeting moment, a painful truth dawned upon me. Mark was not an unkind partner. His actions were not driven by malice or indifference. He had merely taken for granted, as I had, that marriage signified a life of predictability. That solace was sufficient, that we no longer felt the need to reach out to one another as we used to. Yet, that was not truly existence. That was not love. Not any longer. What are you conveying? He finally inquired, his tone laced with hesitation. I took a deep breath. It's time for me to reclaim my life. His face grew a shade lighter. Are you revealing my secrets? With a moment of uncertainty, I finally dismissed the thought with a shake of my head. I'm uncertain about what lies ahead, Mark. Yet, I am aware that I cannot continue to appear in this manner. For this union to endure, a transformation is essential. He gazed at me for an extended moment. Once upon a moment, there existed a fleeting essence known as time. And for the first time in years, I witnessed a spark dance in his eyes. A moment of awakening. Perhaps there was an opportunity for us to mend this. Perhaps we did not. Yet, after so many years, I felt a stirring within me, a readiness to uncover the truth.